It's really a brilliant technology, but for the common, simple person, the key thing there is that you have a money system without a bank, without the banks. It's a money system running on computers without human beings, which is a new opportunity for a financial system.
So what do we do, Steve? Do we need to buy crypto?
Everybody who's young should be doing it.
How much?
I think blockchain is the technology right now that has the digital currency created to disrupt society. I think people are grossly
Elon Musk makes one of his riskiest bets ever, linking Tesla's fortunes to Bitcoin.
Very comfortably was a politics of being here in 2040, about 23 years ago.
Hello, sir. Steve, is it?
Yeah.
Where are you from, Steve?
I'm Canadian.
Canadian?
Originally.
Where from?
I was...
Let me guess, Alberta. Montreal.
Yeah,
Alberta. Yeah?
Rocky Mountains.
Yeah, Rocky Mountains. I think
Calgary. Outside of Calgary towards the mountains.
And what brings you to Cyprus?
Women.
Woman?
A woman.
A woman?
Yeah.
A Cypriot woman?
Yep.
Maria. Ne?
50-50.
What do you mean?
Athena.
Athena?
Yeah.
And you're permanently living in Cyprus now?
Yeah.
Man.
I was in, I met her in Washington, D.C. because I went to school in Maryland. And
where's that? Washington?
It's right at the Washington, D.C. is in the center of
Yeah, no, my
Delaware,
sister
Virginia.
graduated from the American University.
Yeah,
Is it? Yeah.
that's D.C.
Yeah.
That's hard D.C. So yeah, so I went to school and law school in D.C. And then I worked there for 10 years, and then I escaped to Cyprus. Escaped from the heart of the beast, Washington, D.C.
How did you meet her?
She was working at the Cyprus embassy.
Have your mic in front of
downtown.
you?
And
Have your
I
mic
have-
in front of you just like that?
Yeah, yeah. She was she was working at the Cyprus embassy, and I had a law firm downtown, and I met her at an event. And she brought me on vacation to see Cyprus in 1999, and I pretty much fell in love with Cyprus.
Yeah.
You know, it's so nice here.
It's warm, peaceful.
It's relaxed. It
Yeah.
was more relaxed then. You remember you were here
Back in the
99.
80s, 90s,
99.
I was born in Russia and I came in 1986.
Yeah, okay, so you know how it is, but it was those were the golden days around the year 2000. It was so nice in Cyprus.
Financially or otherwise?
Everything. It was middle. It wasn't so rich. It was pretty well off. Total freedom. Everybody was outside.
Yeah.
All the restaurants. It was partying. Positive energy.
A lot of money.
People would take. Yeah, there was a lot of money. That people would take the whole of August off. You know. Now we work like Europe, like Americans, all through the whole year, which is really terrible. You know. I mean, I loved that it shut down in August because you couldn't work even if you tried. Everybody was off.
What if you are doing what you love doing? I mean, it's not work at the end of the day. If you do what you love doing.
Yeah, but that's what I do.
What do you do for a living?
Play.
Play what?
Play with technology and projects.
You play with technology. Give me some insights. I mean, Andreas told me that you're into...
It's, creating, just like part of my background was as a musician and creating albums, guitar.
Yeah.
How about you?
Piano.
All right.
And a little bit of sax.
All right.
And a little bit of guitar.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, just creating music is good, but the closest I can get to that in work is creating software apps. Because, you're creating
for clients or for your own brand?
Yeah, no, just creating our own. So the latest one we did is the football app.
Which
like
one?
A social network, like it's like Twitter or better. It's better than Twitter, but it's kind of themed around football.
The panda thing.
Yeah,
I've seen some billboards. Was it 3 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago on the highway?
Yeah, they're still up. I think there's some billboards still up on the...
Super ad billboards.
You got it. Good memory. Yeah, so...
I was trying to reach you guys. I was working for the competition, and one day while I was driving down the motorway, I saw a panda and a football. And I was like, what is that? And I was trying to find, access, some contact details, and couldn't, and I said, never mind.
Yeah. Yeah, so it started here. So this is shaping up to be a big social network, with With any kind of electronic market where it's worldwide potential, you're looking only at a few indicators. It's like same in the music industry now. If you have a hit song in one country, unless it's really niche, it's likely to go on all the radios all around the world. You put up a YouTube video and you have 200 million
Viral
views.
is the word you're looking for.
Yeah, but ours is already viral and growing around the world. And once you get those dynamics in something like a social network, it doesn't really stop. It just keeps going until it hits its momentum limit, whatever that is.
It's like closing a circle of growth.
Yeah.
A first circle of growth.
Yeah. And as you can imagine, people are kind of tired with Facebook. It's a 20-year-old idea, right?
I kind of disagree with you. I mean, I get what you're saying, but Facebook nowadays, it's like the mainstream thing. It used to be something new.
Yeah.
And now it's something mainstream.
That's right. It's it was a college cool thing 20 years ago. And now it is mainstream. But once something becomes mainstream, everybody looks for something else. So the young kids jumped off into Reddit. And now a lot of people are playing around with TikTok and different kind of things. But they're a little bit like toys, I think people are also looking for something more consolidated, So it happened in electronics industry, and it will happen in social application industry. So you remember there was the iPod and all these little gadgets, right? And now we have them all in one. It eventually happens that someone pulls them together, puts all the popular things in one framework.
I consider Facebook, though, and Instagram as the establishment. I don't know if they're going to be evolving into something different. And at the same time, I don't know if they're going to be like come to end of days.
Yeah, I doubt they'll come to the end of the days because they have
momentum.
They have 30,000 employees, psychologists, market strategists. They
2.5 billion users.
Hundreds of billions of dollars, promotions. They can buy new companies and integrate them in. So they'll probably live long, but they're no longer. It's an old idea. It's not that it's a bad idea. It's just an old idea, and it's well entrenched. But even they're talking about wishing they were something different, and what they're wishing is to be something in the genre that we're doing. Which there was a leaked Mark Zuckerberg tape that was put up on the internet 4 or 5 months ago.
Is it down now?
No, it's still there.
Still
you can find it. It was it's a leaked Mark Zuckerberg private employees meeting. Yeah, I'm sure you could find it. It wasn't anything really damaging, so I don't think he really cared. But they were talking about, employees were saying, our brand is not good, or they said it's toxic. And he disagreed. He said, no, in certain parts of the world, we're still hot. In US, it's toxic.
He's actually right.
He is right. Yeah, it's big. It's big in certain places. It's huge. It's still,
they haven't even reached out Africa. I mean, India, it's a thing for Mark.
Yeah.
China, with the political stuff.
Yeah, they're not going to get anywhere there, but you're right. It's certainly Indonesia, Instagram. The whole Instagram game is still not fully played out. But he was talking that they wish they could become community-based interest groups, like pages, but bigger, centered. The whole ecosystem is right now centered around friends and family, and that's your feed, right?
Yeah.
He wants to be centered around topics, and we are a topic-centered social network around football, and that's the biggest community in the world, as you know. So it's 3 billion people watch the World Cup. It's bigger than any religion. It's bigger than any country. The group of football fans.
Is it user behavior like that? I mean, you create a username, password, you log in, you create a profile, and then you do what?
Everything that you do in a social network,
share videos, posts.
Yeah,
links.
Everything. Yeah, it's very, very powerful. It's like if you combine Twitter and Instagram and Reddit and Telegram and Apple Pay and Uber Eats and a cryptocurrency wallet and games, and you mix them all together, that's the football app.
How many users do you accommodate?
Well, from when we launched it in Cyprus in 2019, we've got, let's say, I don't know, 250,000 users. But the numbers isn't really, when you're in an early stage social network, you're actually looking at how much retention do you have? Do they come and go, or do they stay? And our users are staying, and they're staying for 24 minutes per day, which is a very, very high amount of time.
I mean, 24 internet minutes, it's a lot.
It's like a hit show of Netflix per day of time, yeah? And also it grows by itself. So every month there's 8% more users than there were the month before.
From where?
Natural users inviting other users. With no marketing, it's just growing.
Yeah, but where do you pitch the most?
The way it's gone now is it's spread out of Cyprus, and it started spreading in 30, 40 other countries by itself. We don't know how, we don't know why. It just started catching on.
Yeah, just organically.
Yeah, and then where we see big units coming up, so we're going to actually do some real promotions in UK, because it's the heart of football. And also it's an early adopting social media network. Also in Southern California, Los Angeles, and Las Vegas, where we have strong connections. And there's a lot of college students, and there's a lot of Latinos who are football mad. The Americans are also football crazy, but they're not so up to speed on the Premier League, or they're more just see it as one of 20 sports. But the Latinos see it the way the Cypriots and the Europeans see it. It's like the sport. It's like
all the Barca Real stuff.
Yeah, they're mental over football, and they're crazy over cryptocurrency. So there's 800,000 college students in Southern California, and they're all cryptocurrency savvy. So we're combining cryptocurrency and social networking, and that's unique. And that means, like, right now when you stare at the screen for Facebook or Instagram, Mark Zuckerberg just keeps getting richer and richer and richer, like a monster. You get bigger and bigger and crazier. When you stare at the screen in the football app and enjoy yourself, you're getting a share of the revenue of the network through the token, through the cryptocurrency. You earn the token like...
What do you mean? You get like paid while staying on the app?
Yeah.
And you're counting, and the app counts minutes?
No, but you earn points by playing games, by inviting users,
so you need to
by
be
winning
active.
contests. If you're active in the app, you win a lot of points. And the points convert into
a currency,
a cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
And then you can
How's
spend
the
them.
cryptocurrency called?
It's TFC.
TFC, no, your cryptocurrency.
Yeah,
TFC, okay.
The football coin.
The football coin.
Yeah. So that coin is a real cryptocurrency. It's listed on one of the top tier exchanges, and it's starting to get worldwide notoriety now, because not many people. It's very easy to create a cryptocurrency. You could do it.
Yeah, with a computer.
Yeah, any
let it mine for a month for a coin, for example.
But even create one. You could create one. You know, make your own crypto. The hard part is to get other people to use it, because why would they use yours? Anybody can create one.
Actually, crypto, it's like giving value to something that you create, and then create a community around it, and then establish an ecosystem where you can exchange that something to get something else from.
Well said.
Yeah.
That's really the heart of it. You nailed it. That is what it's about. It's creating a community of people who use it, and they give it the value. And there has to be mechanisms and enabling technology so they can exchange it, so they can spend with it. And there has to be some superpower why this one is better than another one, right?
Steve, let me ask you something for the non-cryptocurrency savvy people. Fundamentally, what's a cryptocurrency, aside the theory that I just placed on the table?
Yeah, so a cryptocurrency is really a token, or just a unit that is created
a virtual one?
on the internet, a virtual unit that exists on the internet. But what's unique about it is that a network of computers manages the supply of that and the transfer of that.
Who's behind the computers? People or algorithms?
No, this is about algorithms. And this is why people trust it. Because it's, if you create, like Bitcoin, for example, yeah, which everybody's heard of and a lot of people have participated in. This is a network of computers. You could think it's almost like a AI supercomputer that does a very simple task, which is manage the supply of how many of these tokens can exist, because there's only 21 million tokens in the computer. The computer code isn't built and instructed that there's only this many tokens that can be created in the market. So it has a scarcity inside of it, enforced by the computers. You don't have to trust a person that there's some seedy guy behind the scenes that will screw everybody over and create another 100 million tokens at the wrong time.
You do not trust the central bank for issuing more paper and paper and paper. It's just an algorithm that produces.
Yeah, you trust a computer program which is enforced by computers who are agnostic. They don't care. They are non-emotional. So the computers enforce the program, and the program, everybody can see what it says. You know, they can see what the rules of the game are, and the game rules can't be changed. And this is why people trust the cryptocurrency and why they don't trust the banks. The banks make money out of thin air. They abuse the privilege. They print money, and as they print money, whatever tokens that you hold of the euro or the US dollar, when they print more of them, the ones you hold become worth less. If they print too many of them, they become truly worthless.
Yeah, but my question is China, Russia, and the States going to let the cryptocurrency ecosystem evolve to something new?
They don't have a choice. They can't stop the computer network. If it was a group of people, they could just arrest them. But how do you stop a computer program which is running on the internet all around the world?
What if they put like regulations on the internet?
Well, they stopped prostitution and drugs that way, right? You can't stop certain behaviors. Yeah. If people want things enough, you'll never stop them. You can make it more uncomfortable for them. You can slow it down a little bit. But certain fundamental human behaviors, people will pursue health and happiness and pleasure, and you won't be able to stop all the behaviors. Laws don't stop behaviors. So the governments do not have the power to actually stop this because they can't stop that computer network, which is why this is really a revolution. And it's started at the 2008. You know, a lot of kids are too young to remember it. What happened in 2008 when they crashed the whole world economy, and a lot of people lost a huge amount of money, and just then the banks, of course, they gave money to the banks to help them, and they didn't give money to the people. The people had to give money to the banks, and this is when Bitcoin was born, out of that kind of time when everybody just got tired of it.
Did it start from Japan?
Nobody knows.
Nobody knows.
Maybe I know.
Maybe you know.
But if I knew, I wouldn't be allowed. No.
Yeah, you won't tell us because
nobody would know.
You have to kill us then.
Yeah, exactly. It's a James Bond. But no, I do think I actually have some insights into it. But let's just say the Bitcoin was supposedly created by Satoshi Nakamoto, which is a Japanese name, but it's not. There's no 0% chance there was a human being.
I saw a video on YouTube the other days. There's a guy, a known guy, I'll show him later to you. He said, I know who is behind Bitcoin. And when I told his name, you will be freaked out. And I was like, who the hell is behind Bitcoin?
There's no one person behind it. And anybody who thinks they can say who the one person behind it is wrong. It's large groups, not large groups, but it's groups of people, pioneer people, and there was a whole community of people who were involved in this cryptography and this whole idea of these trusted networks for money, and even governments, of course. I mean, I would think that there certainly were governments involved in creating of the blockchain, because they have the most money to do research. They hire all those genius PhDs from Caltech, And so a lot of research that would have been funded by the government would have actually been used to create things like Bitcoin. But it really doesn't matter actually who is behind it, because it's transparent. You know, what is the computer code? It doesn't matter who made it. If we know what's in the computer code, and we can see that we can trust it, and it's running on computers, and the government can't stop it at that point, it's really irrelevant who created it.
Paper is attached with gold. Bitcoin is attached to what?
Paper is not attached to gold. Paper is attached to oil.
Yeah, okay.
So, but it used to be attached to gold, but your idea is right. You know, the US dollar, they call it the petrodollar. And the reason they call it a petrodollar is the US forced everybody, all the countries, if they're going to buy oil from the OPEC nations, they have to pay with US dollars. So imagine the US dollar is a token. It is a token. Let's just say it's the same as a
coin.
But it's a token that is exclusively used to purchase oil, and every country needs oil. So that made the dollar very, very powerful. Bitcoin, it used to be backed with gold, the dollar, as you said, and gold was a desired. Kings wanted it. People wanted it for jewelry. It was very highly desired.
1,000 years ago,
culture.
it was attached to salt and coffee and how do you call the bahariga? Carnations.
Yeah. So what happens is whatever, if we were a tribal, let's say there was only 500 of us in the world and we all lived in Cyprus, whatever we valued the most, we would tend to trade that as the base economic unit. So it could have been salt, whatever we desired the most.
It used to be salt.
It did. It was. That's why in Austria, you know, the town of Salzburg was a great salt mine, a lot of wealth, because in the Roman Empire, salt.
That's where they got the name?
Yeah.
Damn.
But salt was limited in its supply because they didn't have an easy technology to get it out of the water. They had to get it out of the mountain reserves. So it was limited in supply. It was needed for everything. They needed it for food storage, and that was a key, flavoring and food storage. And you could carry it around in a divisible. You could carry it around with you. So once you start using salt to measure the economic transactions, it gains a superpower, right? So salt might have been worth one egg, but once we start using salt to measure all the things we trade, maybe salt gains a superpower. So later, gold got that power. In ancient Greece, it was silver. Silver was mostly used for money because, again, there was only so much of it. It had a limited supply. You couldn't make more of it. You could mine a little bit of it every single year. You could melt it down. It was very useful and desired. So it was a very good form of money. It was very good to be used as money. And Bitcoin, the reason people like Bitcoin is because it has a truly limited supply, 21 million exactly, and everybody can know. You can't know how much gold or silver is in the world. No one knows. But you can know exactly how much Bitcoin is in the world, 21 million. You can read it in the computer code. It can't be changed. So because that has a limited supply, because it's really easy to transfer. In the old days, it was very hard to port your gold around. The early Knights Templar, who had their headquarters here in Limassol, the reason they became the bankers of Europe, and there was this sacred trails that you would go through of all Europe on this sort of ascension pilgrimage, all the holy sites in France, all the way up to Scotland and down here. And you would turn your gold into them, and they would give you an encrypted code, a written encrypted code. And you would then carry that down to Italy or Cyprus, and you would turn the encrypted code in, and they would give you gold here.
Was it a plate? Something like a plate? Code? A paper?
It was paper, but it evolved in different forms. But you see, the early banking system was built like the blockchain. It was ciphers, and it was based on some transferability. Bitcoin is the ultimate transferability because we all know how easy it is to transfer on the internet. You click a button, you send a picture, you send an email, wham. No border can stop it, no border control. So Bitcoin has a limited supply and it can be transferred anywhere
and the
immediately.
Thing is, There's not a middleman.
That's the big point, that you don't have to trust the Knights Templar and they charge you commission. Bitcoin, the computers handle everything. No human beings are involved in the middle, which is incredible. So the power of the blockchain, Bitcoin is a blockchain, and there's other blockchains. The power is that you don't have to trust that someone will change the rules of the game and that create more Bitcoins. You don't have to trust that someone will stop or block your transfer. You don't have to trust that the computers will get messed up and one computer will have a different ledger of how many things were transferred than a different. It's really a brilliant technology. But for the common, simple person, the key thing there is that you have a money system without a bank, without the banks. It's a money system running on computers without human beings, which is a new opportunity for a financial system.
So what do we do, Steve? Do we need to buy crypto?
Everybody who's young should be doing it.
How much?
Well, everybody has certain, right now, let's put it this way. I'll just tell you the evolution of it. Like 10 years ago, everybody thought it was a toy. Yeah. I was buying Bitcoin in 2013.
2013, it should have been $50.
Yeah, I was buying at $70 Canadian, which was about $50 US in that year. And it was the early part of, it was still not clear if it was going to make it.
It was
if it was going to go
unclear.
mainstream. It was not clear that it was going to be big. But I thought it would be big as an idea. So I was buying it at 70 Canadian, and that's 50 US. And today it's $63,000 per Bitcoin. And all the experts in that industry believe that it'll go 5, 6, 7 times higher. And
2 years ago, it went up to a 15,000 peak price, I remember. And I was
Yeah.
like, damn.
The whole world freaked out about that. In 2017, November, Thanksgiving
It was
in
up
the
to
US.
$5,000, and then a week it went up to 15. Then it
Yeah.
got a little bit up to 21, and then it dropped again at $8,000. And I was
Yeah.
like, I told you, I
Yeah.
told you so.
Well,
Scam.
You know what happened? It was the word had been spreading. I was early in 2013, and more people, 2014, 2015, 2016. By 2017, all the college kids were into crypto, all right? All of them. Not all of them, but
Yeah.
it was the thing.
Most of them.
And they all went home to Thanksgiving in US, which is in November. And that's the big holiday where everybody goes home and talks to the family for 4 days. So all these college kids came home and they told Uncle Larry and Aunt Sally about Bitcoin, and they all went out and bought.
Well done, Sally.
And the market pumped and nobody knew what it was, so everybody freaked out and sold it. But ultimately, the price of Bitcoin is much higher now than it was in the highest point then. And the reason was very simple. The more people who adopt and use this, the more value it has. That's it. So there was about 1 million people using Bitcoin in 2017. Today, there's about 10 million people using Bitcoin. In 2 years, there'll be about 100 million people using Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. And actually, we are the money, aren't we? I mean, if we decide to do work together and we trade something here, that becomes valuable, right? Because we're doing the things that are
Now
valuable.
we're trading paper.
So if we agree that we're going to use something to be the money system for us, it gets the value from us. And so actually, the more people who are using these things, the more value they're getting from the people. So this is almost what I call the democratization of money. This is what in ancient Greece went democracy.
Power to the people.
It is.
It is power to
This
the
is the
people.
ultimate power to the people, because if in Greece 2,500 years ago, they had the big idea to have democracy, which was a very odd idea in the ancient cultures, right? They believed that the pharaohs had to be appointed by God, and that if that's how it happened. And nowadays we think money is like a god. We think that the banks have to create the money. It comes from a god. But no, actually, we can, as people, make our own tokens and use them and give them value. And that was prohibited for thousands of years because they controlled how the top people in the societies controlled that process, because creating money is the most power you can have. Yeah, political power is way behind money power. With money, you can buy political power, right? And with political power and money, you can control armies. So the ultimate power is, I would say at the highest level, is human power, but enabled through being able to express ourselves and have freedom of being able to have the value of what we create for each other, come to our benefit and not be pulled off, siphoned off the top by somebody like a parasite on top of us, taking our value away from us.
Is there a pinpoint in the future where you see that everything's going to change to crypto?
Yeah.
Is it going to be over a night, or, I mean...
Almost.
How do you picture that?
So I have successfully predicted it for years, how it's playing out. The first...
yeah, that's why you have the panda up.
Yeah. I've been correct on my guesses about it. And the first thing is to understand how big is the market size. So, for example, the turnover on the crypto, the amount of money that was spent on traded in cryptocurrency today in 24 hours is equal to the GDP of Greece, the gross domestic product of Greece. The amount of output that the country of Greece
How much that,
produces.
35 billion?
200 billion.
200 billion, damn.
The GDP of Greece is $200 billion, and that's how much crypto is traded in 24 hours. So you see, the market size is still in the beginning. The crypto was worth, all the cryptos together today are worth $2.1 trillion. I predicted that once it hit 1 trillion, which was maybe 2 months ago, that it hit 1 trillion, that it will quickly go up to 5. Quickly means maybe 9 to 18 months time frame. Within 18 months, we will probably see the crypto market cap at 5 trillion, more than double what it is today. It could happen even faster.
Can I place a payment method for my company in crypto?
Of course. I have a software company, and I pay my lawyer, my accountants, my contractors with cryptocurrency all around the world almost exclusively. It's among 30-year-old technology-oriented, digital-oriented people. All of them are accepting cryptocurrency. They prefer it. They don't want to deal with banks. Banks are a pain, too much trouble, too much waste of time. They're closed on the weekends. Nothing but trouble. So people are really are using the crypto, but the market's size is over $100 trillion of this market. So what happens is we're at 2.1 trillion now. When you hear that crypto hits 5 trillion, you're going to see gold rush coming. It's already starting. I'm sure you're already hearing about it and participating in it or something. But once it's 5 trillion, everybody's going to be talking about crypto.
I'm doing a lot of reading.
Yeah.
But I'm not taking action because I'm trying to understand it. I mean,
Yeah.
I understand it, but I'm trying to put myself in a place where I can actually do something.
Yeah, and it's important to not do it because someone else told you. It's important to get the understanding about it. And that's why I try to educate about it as well, because you don't just you could just do it because someone tells you to do it, but it's better to understand what that is and make a decision that you know what you're getting into and you know what it is. So if crypto hits 5 trillion, it's going to go to 20 pretty quickly. And once it's at 20, it breaks the banks actually, and they'll all switch over to crypto. It's already happening. It's really already happening, and governments are getting ready to issue their own tokens and get into this market. This is nothing new. This happened with Christianity. This happened, and then the state took it over in the end, didn't they? From Cyprus was the first adoption of state Christianity, right? So they, same with rock and roll. They banned it in UK, right? You weren't allowed to listen to rock and roll. They had pirate radio. So you had to go off the shore, and the people 20 million people in UK would be listening by their bed for the pirate radio, and the Army was, the Navy was, Royal Navy was chasing the pirate ships. But now all the big companies are promoting music industry. They took it over. and they dominated in the end. But not completely, but largely.
Yeah, so it's not about the future, it's about reading the history.
The same will happen with cryptocurrency. It will become the mainstream pretty quickly, and many people will have missed it, to tell you the truth. And I think that's a shame because, you know, this is the biggest opportunity in the world for young people to make money, because it's very hard to make money. There's not many opportunities. If you're not from a wealthy family or was handed real estate, how are you going to make a lot of money nowadays? Like buying real estate, the banks don't lend. It's hard to get enough cash to do that. The stock market, nobody trusts the stock market. You know, if you put 20,000 euros in that, so with 20,000 euros, which is what the average person in Europe, young person, might be able to get their hands on, how can they make money? They cannot. So actually, crypto is probably one of the only ways that they can have a good chance to make money, but they have to understand it and research it, and they have to go do the work. They can't just go listen to one person say it and do it or not do it and blame somebody if it works out, or they have to go learn and ask friends about it. But I would say that it's a not even once in a lifetime. It's once in 2,000 years that a culture shifts so quickly on a level of money. This what we call the money is going from old to young, okay? And that's unbelievably good for the world, because imagine if the money's coming from the old guys to the young guys. And think the old people, they were trained by their grandfather the grandfather grew up in the year 1800. A guy who's 70 years old today, he got advice from his grandfather, his grandfather was from 1800. And how different is the world today from 1800? We need to get the money into the hands of the young people because it's moving too fast. Technology is too fast. The young people need to guide the way into the future, not the old people, because things are in a state of change. So actually, any young person who doesn't get into cryptocurrency is really ripping themselves off by not learning about it and trying to see how they can benefit from it. And they shouldn't be getting in from like what I call like the trading, day trading, you know, try to make, catch
gambling.
a pump and this and gambling. Don't do that. Pick a few tokens that you think that you understand and that you really like. Well, I like the big ones because they have huge infrastructures, huge communities,
trust,
huge brands, huge trust and momentum.
It's a brand. It stands over the cryptocurrency thing now. It's something else. It's a brand. Yeah,
I think you have to default to Bitcoin. Okay, I don't think you can. Now you're not going to make these huge gains anymore. Like I have friends that made literally billions of dollars from Bitcoin. Literally,
they bought it when it was $20.
Like one person bought at. He made $1 million of Bitcoin in the year 2014, and he sold it. And he bought Ethereum at 20 cents. So he had $1 million of Bitcoin and he bought Ethereum at 20 cents with $1 million.
How much is the Ethereum now?
$2,200. So I don't know what it is he made.
So are we going to have a lot of cryptocurrency going around?
Yeah. Yeah. It's going to be, the kids who are 10 years old today, and they'll grow up using cryptocurrency almost exclusively. So it's just like
having euro, dollar, yen,
Bitcoin, Ethereum.
Yeah, but it's
XLM,
going to be Ethereum, Bitcoin, TFS,
TFC. Yeah, we think we're going to make it up there because we have the ability to get 100 million people into our ecosystem. Because every person who gets the football app gets the football coin wallet inside of it. So their first exposure to cryptocurrency is often through us. Many people, 99% of the people we have in our social network, which again, 250,000 people isn't a lot in a social network right now, but it's an impressive start because it's growing like a ramp. But we have 160,000 people who hold the TFC token. And actually, that's in the top 30 in the world. So we're in the 30 largest crypto communities on the planet Earth with that number.
How come the Zacks didn't see that opportunity? I mean, I've been reading for ages that they were trying to find a way integrating the blockchain community with Facebook, but I haven't seen anything.
No, they tried to do it, and they were stopped from doing it.
By whom?
By France and Germany.
Okay.
Yeah, because it was a threat to the euro. The Facebook would have ended the euro, and so imagine that this is a good example to talk about. So Facebook did everything wrong. I don't think they understand how to do this game, and they were too much of a threat, you know, to be allowed to play it, because they are a specific company. They have a headquarters, and they have a lot to lose. They're worth $700 billion. If they take a risk and they lose that money, their shareholders will scream, right? So they aren't willing to take the risk to play this game. But imagine the Facebook token. So imagine a 14-year-old kid has Facebook. Inside Facebook, they have the Facebook coin. And the Facebook coin is what all their friends spend, and every business accepts the Facebook coin who is on Facebook. And it becomes, within 10 years, if you were to ask a kid, have you heard of the euro or the dollar? Maybe they still exist underneath. The kid would say, what's the dollar? What's a euro? Is that something like Unix or Linux
we don't
or an
trade
operating
with dollars
system?
and euros.
They would
trade
say,
we trade with Fortnite coins and Brawl Star coins.
And so that's it. Yeah.
Where's the e-gaming industry fit into all this? Because I'm watching my son play video games, and he's way into buying game tokens. He doesn't care about the euro. Just give me, I mean, he probably values 5, let's say, Brawl Star coins more than €5.
Yeah, and in the future, those will be, whatever tokens are hot with the kids will be accepted at McDonald's, at KFC, at movie theaters as money, traded on exchanges. That's what I'm saying, is that if the kids all value it and hold it, the businesses will want it, and it'll trade on exchanges. And so that's why I'm saying community-based money, wherever you find a mass group of people who gets into a particular token. So that's why I said that the football coin could be big, because we can get a mass group of people together. Of course, Facebook would be the biggest money in the world, but they are too big, and they're not going to be allowed to play. And they made strategic mistakes as well, and as well as Telegram. Telegram wanted to create their own token, and they made a number of mistakes, and also they were too big to play, and they got shot down. So something like us, who is no threat to the system, we're a tiny social community, and we're growing organically, and we're going to be allowed to play because we made a few good decisions. You know, we learned from their mistakes, actually. And we're not a threat to the system. We're just a small community that has a token that's used for certain specific reasons in the app, and it can grow and grow and grow. And the other reason that we're going to succeed is because, you know, the goal of our social network isn't to make me into Mark Zuckerberg, where I'm the big guy and I make all the big decisions. It's really a community, and the money gets distributed through the community. And it's kind of a sharing, a pirate-style wealth sharing, you know, where everybody who participates takes from the tokens, and it's more fair, and it's also more exciting because, you know, you can benefit as a user by sharing in the value of what you're creating. You know, why should they create the value and I take all the value? They should be getting value of what they create.
For the ones who don't know, pirates used to, it used to be a pirate law. They were sharing the treasures from the Spaniards and the English, and they were voting for the actions that would have been taken in any case.
Yeah, they were, and same with the Vikings. So, you know, in our culture, and who labeled these people Vikings and pirates? The British, right?
Yeah.
And they're the real pirates. And not the British people. I love the British people, but the control system that was in the UK.
There were ex-commanders, Navy ex-commanders,
yeah,
right?
And there's nothing all bad about that. But even the Vikings also shared. And if the Vikings were so bad, how come Scandinavia, Denmark, and Sweden are such egalitarian societies, right? They have the Viking culture. It's actually a very fair society. that they've implemented. They share the revenues of, they are very egalitarian. And so I think we have to kind of go back from this central control structure. We have to allow new ideas to come into the world. We need young people to have money, and we need them to be able to make the future, because it's moving very fast. The technology, like you said, e-gaming, the kids understand digital. They grow up with digital.
They're exchanging cards, Steve.
Yeah.
They're exchanging, how do they call them? Not screenshots.
The NFTs.
The NFTs, yeah.
Yeah.
There's another name for NFTs. It's not a theme. It's come on, έλα Ανδρέα, πέ μου. Skins.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. And you know what else these kids have, which is different than, let's say, my generation?
Technology. Savvy.
They're tech savvy, but they have one other thing. They work as a group. When I was young, we were fighting each other, and we didn't cooperate that much.
They support their communities.
They work together, and you know, they also don't have this sort of nationality prejudice that we were growing up with.
No ideologies.
Yeah, yeah. They grow up and they play with kids all around the world, and they all have a common theme, and they work together and they share. So actually, we really do need to empower that, because that is the way of the future. And all these guys who, again, created the political and money system, and I don't want to be too mean to them. Let's say thank you to them, because maybe 150 years ago, they helped advance things.
Thanks for the memories.
Yeah, but that's what it is at this point. We have to say goodbye at some point, to say, look, thank you for helping whatever you've done. We're going to take it from here as a community all together with all these new tokens.
The political system is going to react.
They're going to react, but they can't do that much about it. Just like they couldn't stop rock and roll. They couldn't stop big ideas.
Alcohol back in the 30s in the US.
They couldn't stop for a long time. They couldn't stop democracy. Do you think the Persian Empire tried to come and wipe Greece off the face of the earth? They sent 2 million people, and at the time living in Greece was about 70,000 people in Athens. So can you imagine hearing that there's 2 million people sailing to wipe you off the face of the earth, and there's 70,000 of people in a city? And actually, but you know what happens is when we find a good idea, we're willing to fight for it, you know, because we don't want to be slaves in somebody's
empire. And at the same
empire.
time, when a good idea comes and like drives us to changing the world we know, there's going to be resistance from the old world.
Of course, there is. But I think that already the resistance has turned, and this is what another dynamic that...
Look at the example with the, what stock? What was the name of the stock a month ago where they went on Reddit?
GME, GameStop.
Yeah.
That was hilarious.
They hacked their system.
Yeah.
Within Reddit, was it Reddit, was it?
Yeah, well, that's right. So it was a Reddit group called Wall Street Bets that had 2 million members. Now there's 10 million members. And they went after, Wall Street had bet against the stock. So the stock went up.
Was it? They bought a stock.
They bought 2 different ones. They bought three. They bought the movie theater stock. I can't remember which one it was, but they bought the GameStop was the most famous GameStop.
That's the one, not the one.
And they drove it up. But you know what it is? It's an exercise of collective people power, empowered through social networks.
It was a message from the future, I would say.
It is. And now they're going to start to do this in crypto. You see, the problem is they pumped up GameStop, but GameStop, the more isn't worth that much money as they pumped it up. But if you put your money behind, if you get behind a token, because token doesn't need cash flow, it just needs adoption. So if they pump up a crypto token like Dogecoin or TFC or Ethereum, the more people who buy and hold Ethereum, the more valuable it becomes. The more people who hold a stock doesn't make it more valuable. Do you see what I mean? It doesn't make the company have profits. So actually, those people are going to be coming into crypto. And Binance, the big exchange, just announced that they have stocks now on Binance. So you can buy not only cryptocurrencies, but you can buy stocks. So those 10 million people are going to be coming into crypto. And so you can see the energies, the transformation is happening, and it's the biggest money-making opportunity in human history. Bigger than a gold rush, bigger than anything.
How much time do we have, Steve? 5 years?
You don't have 5 years.
2 years?
2.5 years.
Damn. I don't got any
2.5
money on
years.
me. I've invested my money in the company and in my house. So what should I do?
Well, you know, everybody has to make their own decisions. But what I would tell you the following is you got to follow your instincts and do your research. But if you don't need something, if there's a second car that you have that you don't need to live with, sell it and buy Bitcoin with it. But remember, Bitcoin can only go 5 or 6 times up. And it could go down. Of course, it could go down. But let's say that it doesn't
Shouldn't bother you, though.
No, the point is that you should bet on things you really believe in. Do you know what I mean? So that if you're willing to stick with it. But there are certain tokens that can go up 1,000 times. There are certain tokens that can go up 100 times. There are certain tokens that can go up 10 times. Bitcoin is already gone up 10,000%. So it can go up, maybe it can go up another 5 or 6 times. I'm not saying it will. There's no one knows the future, but it's my and other smart people's guess. But there are tokens that you could find that with a small amount of money, you could actually get into them. And if they go up 100 times or 1,000 times, you do incredibly well. In the stock market, there were almost rare that you would have a stock that could go 1,000 times. They did, Amazon did, but it took 25 years. But you see, in crypto, it can happen in 2.5 years. And that's also why people like the market and why people like the things like TFC that we've created is we've created opportunities that those things are possible in that industry and that people it can happen or not happen relatively quickly, a few years instead of 20 years. And that's very unusual because in stocks and, you know, these are because you have anytime you have a huge shift, you have a lot of money making opportunities. And so I think the key thing is to just start getting educated about it and start doing some small step. Do you see what I mean? Because I feel the same way. I could have put more into cryptos, and I think back and go, I should have done more this day and that day, but at least I got it in late a little bit, and now I gained from that a lot. You know, so actually it's good to just take some efforts and do what you can do, even if it's $30 and you sit it there, you've done something, and then you sneak another 50 in there, then you sneak another 90, then you get familiar. You just do what you can do so that, you know.
The thing is, instead of saving money, you can invest your money to crypto.
I think this is good because what's the point of saving money when the banks are printing it and they're blocking your accounts that you can't even transfer it and they're in complete chaos? We don't even know if the euro will exist in 5 years. They don't even know if it will exist in 5 years.
The thing is, the banks ask you to save your money so that they can give them elsewhere.
Yeah,
so actually
they lend it to your competitor. If you're a small restaurant, you're putting your money in the bank. They're printing. European isn't printing as much. The euro is more stable. They print less than the US dollar, but not because they're bad people, because the way the system, the algorithm is designed, they want to lend money to the biggest, safest company. So they give money to your competitor to build and they give him the money to build a big shopping mall, and then they won't lend you money to help your small business. And the whole system is just, I think it isn't about money. I think that people should be actually investing from their heart, thinking we need to change this whole way the world is for the sake of our kids. And we need to take some risks to do that. We might make money, we might lose money, but we're going to affect some changes in the society because we're going to, the Greeks had to fight to risk their death. We're only talking about losing a little bit of money if somebody does a small bit of working in the crypto. But we also are risking something fantastic, which is to make a lot of money and actually to maybe change the game so the world we leave for our children isn't so cutthroat as the world that we're in right now. There's benefits to it, you know, and again, there's always some good to the existing system. It's not all bad. But to me, it's a tired game. It's an old cutthroat game. And we need to take some risks to change it.
I mean, Elon did.
When you see that happening, it has to be a signal.
Actually, it was a signal for me. When I woke up and I read the news on Bloomberg, was it? Remember, Dima? Elon's tweet? Did he tweet it or did he bought and then tweet it?
He bought and then tweeted, of course.
Yeah, and I was like, damn. this thing is getting serious now. And I was into studying and listening to podcasts, mainly US podcasts, because I was like ignoring the existence of it. And I was like, okay, when the time comes, I'll deal with it. But when Elon tweeted that Tesla bought how much?
1.3 billion
of Bitcoin, I was like, okay, now the game is getting serious because I worship Elon. I've got his book, I'm following his career. He's one of the few that's gonna take the world to the next level. And when he tweeted about blockchain, Bitcoin, I was, okay, now it's the time to... And then a week after Andreas DM'd me, my partner came and he was, hey mate, I have a friend, he's into blockchain love, and he gave me a tip about a currency, a Bitcoin currency, not a Bitcoin currency, a cryptocurrency. And he asked me, do you want to invest 500 euros on that? And I told him, yes, do it. I trust you. I don't care if we lose it. It's 500. I mean, we could as well throw them down the balcony. Then Andreas DM'd me and I was like, it's karma.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, you have to wonder, is it more risky to keep your money in the old system than to start taking some risks to get
Steve,
into
we don't
the new?
have money in the old system. The banks lend it to others. They spread our money.
Yeah.
We only keep how much? 1%, 3%, 10%? How much?
No, it's worse than you can imagine. It's if we do an analogy of how the existing system works, if you can understand how I see it and how I see it, the way that the generation of, I represent kind of that generation of people who created Bitcoin. It's my age group and my peer group in some ways. And the way that we saw it was the banks had, not even the banks, the central banks and the families that own the central banks. Can you imagine, to do an analogy, let's say today we were given the license to create the new Cyprus pound. Let's say they left the euro and they give us a document and said, you're allowed to create the new Cyprus pound, printed in the same, let's say the same, doesn't even matter. And then the government said, we'll give you the license and all we want is half the money you create. So we get our computer open and we write down how much money we're creating. And that's what they do. If people think it's some magical process, it's not. Or, you know, they say in English a phrase, money doesn't grow on trees. Of course it does grow on trees. It grows actually now in the computer, okay? So you type it in the computer. How much do we want to create? Let's say 200 billion, 20 times the GDP of Cyprus. Cyprus GDP is $10 billion per year. So on a good economic flow, we would say we need to create about $200 billion to support this $10 billion a year output, okay? So we write it in the computer ledger. 200 billion has been created, and we send 100 billion over to the government. So they have $100 billion of the money. Do they need to tax us? Okay. The 100 billion, do we give it to the people? Because we could give 90 billion of that money to the people, not lend it to them through the banks. We could literally just say, you wake up and every Cypriot has a share of the $90 billion.
Yeah, good luck with it.
And we have
make more if you want to.
We made $10 billion. The government made $100 billion, and the people have money and no debt. What do you think would happen in the Cyprus economy? It would boom, wouldn't it? Wouldn't it be like the biggest economic boom ever? There wouldn't be any debt. So that, and then imagine that we could print more. So next year we put another 200 billion, but we keep it all, or we lend it to our friends, or we give it to our friends. But the worst possible thing is you create the 200 billion and you lend it to them and they have to give it back to you plus interest. If we've created 200 billion and we lent it out, how are we going to, and we're supposed to get back 220? Where does the extra 20 come from? It doesn't exist. It's a slave system. It's a control trap. It was designed as such. It's a societal control mechanism. It's not a money system. It's a economic slave system. So that game is tired and old, and we don't need that game anymore. And when you're holding dollars and euros, you're supporting that system. Do you see what I mean? Mm-hmm. So actually, I think people should think about, if what I'm saying is accurate, why are we supporting that system? Why are we handing that forward into our children, into this perpetual debt trap that can never be dug out of?
It's not that we support the system. It's the way we grew up, the way some information was embedded into our heads on how money and all that financial system works. But now there are no excuses because you have all the information.
That's the truth.
The only thing you're left is action.
That's it. Because if we just don't do anything, we're supporting that existing system. And if we take actions, we might make some mistakes. We might have some losses. We might make some big gains. Everything's possible. But at least we're supporting the creation of a different model for the world. And I think we have to look, I've decided that I'm putting my time into that model. Our entire community of TFC isn't trying to compete with the euro or the dollar. It's not a money. It's a token used in a certain context. But the idea of it, having a limited supply, distributing it to the people, letting it to become used more and more for different things inside the app, and sharing that money with people is showing people the idea that the way how to do it. I will still make money.
Do you put your lawyer with TFCs? No.
Yeah.
With your own coin?
Yes.
And he accepts it?
Yes. Not only that,
for you, lawyer.
People, some people that are working with me, certain consultants and people will only want me to pay in TFC. They don't want to receive a different thing because they think it's going to be their personal opinion is they want it because they think it has a lot of potential to grow. And
you can balance your transactions. I mean, you don't have to. The thing is, a lot of people think of it as gambling. And I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, I wouldn't suggest go and bet your money on crypto, but just instead of saving in the bank, put it on crypto.
Yeah. And this is true because then, you're less likely to lose money in Bitcoin, according to some people's thinking, than you are to leave it in a bank. Even if you're not making money from Bitcoin to going up, it might be a better place because what if you have to, God forbid, you're in a country where you have to leave the country because it has a problem or financial crisis or a war, and you have to leave the country with your family, move to another country, and the banking system has collapsed or they've put capital controls and you can't get your money out or you lose your money. Do you see?
Yeah.
But with Bitcoin, your money goes with you everywhere.
It happened in 2013, Steve.
It did.
People woke up and they didn't have any money in the bank because the system decided that your money will vanish.
They took the money, and that should have shocked everybody into crypto. And even back then, if on the day, let's say somebody had their life savings, and there were some people that lost their life savings at that year in Cyprus, say at €1 million saved in the bank, if you had taken, I think, 6,000 euros and put it in Bitcoin the day before they stole the money, you had all your money back plus gain already.
Yeah. So
actually, what's happening is the system is changing. In some ways, I don't even think we could stop it if we tried. This change is happening. It seems to be have its own inertia, this change. And so we just have to be aware of it, see if we can benefit from it, and see if we should support it, or resist it. Some people, maybe they're correct to resist it, but I support it, and I take a lot of risk on it because I think the reward is high, and I refuse to leave my kids in the same system. So I'm betting on new systems because I simply refuse that this same old tired system governs the way my children have to conduct their lives.
Yeah. Andrea, I don't know if that was a podcast or a consulting session for Bitcoin by Steve. Either way, Steve, thanks a lot for joining us on Netcast.
Sure thing.
I'm gonna make sure that this talk will be promoted a lot. Thanks a lot, mate.
Sure thing, man. Thank you.
Help me out. let me down. I could learn from you. I could learn from